Okay, everybody. Hello and welcome back. If you are in the Code Kentucky class, this is the tutorial for the numbers in C. It's a Microsoft tutorial, and we'll do a walkthrough and we'll run some of this code in Visual Studio to get practice creating a project in Visual Studio. I'll open up a new instance of Visual Studio here, and I'll show you how to create a new project. But first, we're going to look at manipulating integral and floating point numbers in C sharp. So these are data types in C sharp, and we are going to learn how to see the results of compiling and running these little snippets of code um, with integral and floating point numbers. So we'll explore some of the math here. You can always do this here in the sandbox. You can just copy this over and paste it in here and run it. But to get practice, we're also going to run it in Visual Studio. So we see our output of 24 down here, which is what we're printing out in the console right line. We're printing variable C, which variable C is equal to A plus B, and A is 18 and B is 6. So we're declaring our data type, which is int, and then we're assigning the 18 to this variable A. And here we're assigning 6 to this variable B. C, we're assigning A plus B. So it looks like we have our new instance of Visual Studio up. This is how you create a project. Create a new project. Would be just use a console app is fine. Name it something like um, int and you comment out this line. We already have that down here. We run this and we get the result of our math here, which is 5. Everything was working. We got rid of all the errors, and we can just go ahead back in here and comment this whole section out. So now we're going to explore precision and limits. So here we're going to do integer division, and we're going to look at how the results are truncated. And we'll also look at how you can get a remainder using this symbol, which is the modulus operator. This right here is going to show us this division right here and how it's truncated, and it's going to show us the remainder here, this line of code. It should print it out here for us. So let's go look at that in our Visual Studio over here. So we'll take this line right here. We will uncomment it and we run it. And as we see here, we have our first um, line of code, which is going to give us A plus B, which is 7 plus 4, which should um, give us 11. And then we divide that by 3, and that gives us 3, but we also should have a remainder of 2, which we don't see. But down here, we do the same thing, but we just get the remainder using this modulus operator, and it gives us the remainder of 2 with that line. Let's comment that back out, and we'll move on to the next section here. And we are looking here to um, define the min and maximum limits of the integer data type. So this line of code will show us that. And then this next line of code will show us the overflow. So when we go over those limits, because we're doing the max plus 3, and that will show us the what the max plus 3 So if you go too far over or under the limits, it's going to um, give you a number that overflows the limits of these data types. So we're going to comment that out and we're going to run this. So here it gives us our range of the integer data type, which is this negative 21447483648, and then up to positive value of that same number. But here's our overflow, which goes past. This goes past our max, which is this number. It goes past and wraps back around to the negative number. Right. Let's move on and see what we got next here. Um, this is working with doubles, which represents a double precision floating point number. And a floating point is used to represent non-integral numbers. Um, and the double precision describes the number of digits used to store that value. So we're going to look at these examples here. This first one should include a portion of the quotient, and the second one is second one's going to give us another example. Then we're going to look at the once again the min and max values of the double data type here as well. So let me go and pull this code up. We'll uncomment this and we'll run it. So we see we get this decimal point number here. Comment these out. And comment this out and we'll run the second set. Let's this out. Already declared those variables. We're going to run this. This should give us another decimal. It does. And then we want to go down here and we want to look at our min and max values. We'll uncomment those out. We're going to run this. Look at our return, which is the range for the double data type value. Once again, we go from the negative value all the way up to positive. That out. Oh, comment this. We can do the all of the. We can do all of the. Comment those. We have no errors there. So we looked at the double max and min values. Here we're going to look at returning a third here, but I'm not going to return an exact value, meaning it's not going to have a really long trailing group of threes behind it. Um, not as long as this other um, double down here, which is the double precision. The decimal precision is going to have the longest. The double is going to be shorter there. We also see the range for our decimal here. We're looking at the min and max value for our decimal. This is the code, once again, for the min and max value for our decimal. Has a smaller range but greater precision when it comes to doing floating point numbers. So we also need the m suffix, is how we indicate that a constant should use the decimal type. And here it's chosen mostly visually to discern between the double and the decimal keywords. Also, this is the last piece of code there we looked at. This is a challenge. We're going to be using math.py, which is a built-in library in the system library of system.math. And we're going to be finding the radius of a circle. So that was the code we ran before, and we're finding the radius here, which is 19.6349 on. So I think that wraps up our, you can go look at the definition here of math.py if you want. In the Microsoft documentation, it'll give you some more information about what it is exactly and what the value, obviously the value pi, and it's using that as a variable there. So this is the complete answer, and I believe that wraps up this tutorial on numbers in C. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if there's any questions.